We're here in one of our recent projects getting ready for an open house event, and we have invited one of Dallas's most creative masterminds to kick off our Beyond the Design video series, in which we'll be featuring inspiring entrepreneurs, creatives, and community champions that are trailblazing across various industries. Today, I get the pleasure of introducing you to Patricio Rivera, who's the founder and creative director for 1234, where he brings his love for floral design, fashion, food, and family all together.
My name is Patricio Rivera, and I am a mixed media artist, and my medium is flowers.
I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's
yes,
such a pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for having
me. I love this part of the project when we get to bring nature in. I know you have that passion too. That's a big passion of mine as part of biophilic design. And I've never had the opportunity to sit with somebody who's actually an artist. You know, I love how you describe yourself as you're an artist and the floral is really your medium. So I'm so excited to get started. I'm really pleased that you're able to bring all this color and this life and beauty. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can put together here.
Awesome, me too. Thank you so much for having me. So I wanted to, bring a little bit of everything inside of the beautiful space. And some of the flowers that we've chosen are some proteas.
These are so gorgeous.
Isn't it? Aren't they amazing? So these ones are originally from Africa. It's an African flower, but we grow them in California now. So we're able to get them from California because they have nice weather over there.
Oh my gosh, they do. A little bit more predictable than what we get here in Texas.
So, like I was telling you earlier, my goal here is to, I always think of like terms of humans, like how do we connect human with flowers and things like that. So if we're trying to bring the essence of a human into an arrangement, how would we do that? So for me, would be like, this would be the arms of a human and this would be the head of a human. The shapes of the delphinium go out, so it has the welcoming end and a lot of the texture is coming out. So it's like, in a way, welcoming people and so it's little things like that people are really in love with, and they're like, we love your work, but they don't understand the full message behind everything. How is it that we want to be seen? I'll give you a pair of shears. I'll give you these ones because they're not as sharp. This one.
I don't want to hurt myself here.
One of the things that I always do when I work with my product is I always put them next to each other, and I want to take a look at the natural curves of the product. How does the product wants to be seen? So this one has like a shape that goes like this way. This one has a shape that goes more this way, and this one's just a little bit more straightforward.
Yes.
But also like some of the leaves are bigger on one end, So I always pay attention to that. So for this one, I'm gonna use this one right here.
Okay.
And these are gonna be the main. I always start with the biggest product first.
Okay.
And then I go from biggest to smallest.
Okay.
So at the end of the process of curating, that's when I come in and do the little elements that make it softer. You know what I mean? So we'll cut this one on an angle.
Angle. Okay.
Yes.
I've heard that before.
It might be a little tough. There you go.
Showing my muscles, my strength.
Great. So I'm thinking we go right here.
Love that.
The vessel has been prepped already with wire and tape, and that's going to be our mechanic for holding things in place.
I love the technical use of words here. That's how we know we're talking to a pro. The mechanicals have been set. It's ready for us to get creative, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I love it.
And then so I'll do this one right here, just to make it quick. Also, you can borrow these ones too. These are Japanese shears. They're like super sharp. But so we'll do another one on the other end. And honestly, like you want to just maybe one lower than other, you know what I mean? So it's not like so
balanced.
It is, but it's not. Does that make sense? It feels more organic, like nature.
Right.
Because you don't want it to be forceful and like not. You know, I like modern arrangements, but I think that there's beauty in like just letting nature be seen, not the way it is. You know what I mean?
100%.
In some ways.
I always use the term the trees in the forest because people sometimes think that you can mix different finishes, like wood finishes.
Right.
And they're like, if we do light wood, do we have to keep light wood? And I'm always saying, like the trees in the forest, they're not all the same, but they all go together. So it's kind of that same concept, right?
Yeah. Because I feel like we often want to be so in control of everything, and I feel like that just like steals your happiness. You know what I mean? And I am a perfectionist, but I also don't want to control Mother Nature to the way that I am, you know, hijacking the natural beauty of it. You know what I mean?
The goals to enhance. Well, tell me about your background. I think speaking of nature, and you sound like you really are connected to nature. Where does that come from? I know a little bit about your background, and I know that you grew up in Latin America, kind of like me. I almost feel like that's how I feel so connected to wellness design and to nature, and I'm always trying to bring nature in, organic shapes, you know, the unexpected things that our brain doesn't immediately recognize, you know, but we know in our subconscious is beautiful.
Right.
So tell me about your background and where you grew up and how you came about this.
Yeah, so it's so interesting. So I grew up in Honduras, and I have brothers and sisters. Like I'm one of 5, so I had a big family, and all of my brothers and sisters always really loved like doing the typical stuff. You know what I mean? They love like you know, playing outside with other kids and like playing soccer and things like that. And I always didn't like that. I was like I wanted to do my own thing. So my favorite thing was like walking through, we were really close to a river, you know? So I loved going to the river, and like, there was like, we had like trees full of fruit everywhere, you know? Like,
I could totally
guayabas and like plantains and like, so I would go and like find fruit for my mom to cook, or like climb on
I'm sure you're the favorite. Bringing goodies back to your mom?
I'm not gonna admit it, but yes, I am. Yeah, and so I even like one time got like full of like hives because I was touching.
Oh my goodness.
I was touching this fruit that like you were supposed to grab with like gloves, but I didn't really know anything about that. You know, I was just like, oh, fruit, let's take it home. You know. So I would say like my favorite thing to do was like sit at the river, or like be in a guayaba tree or a tamarind tree, you know, and just eat as much as I wanted.
So pretty with all the pods hanging down.
So you see this texture right here? This is very like inspired by like tamarind.
I can see that.
Tamarind leaves, you know.
So textural, so beautiful.
Yeah, so I often, when I design and when I do my buying has a lot to do with my childhood, like the textures that I remember as a kid, you know, like the little tendrils, you know. A lot of designers reuse things, like for example, if we have an item that's really tall, they'll cut it twice and then use it as a filler piece. I don't really like doing that. I like using just the tips. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit more waste, but it feels more organic. It doesn't feel like, does that make sense?
And it honors the plant a little bit more, right?
Exactly. Well, my goal is to like make it look so effortless that people try to do it, but they're like, wait, it doesn't look the same.
I love it. And that's always a magic, right? Is whenever people are like, oh, this looks beautiful. Like, oh yeah, I could totally put this together. And then you realize that's a magical touch, is making it feel and look easy. That's how you know it's your superpower.
And it's really interesting. Like, I didn't know that for the longest time, you know, like, but I started teaching classes at Nordstrom's, you know, with like Erin, you know, Erin Lauder. So I started teaching classes for some of her clients and stuff like that. And I will tell them to do things, and then it's really interesting to see like when I'm the only one touching something, or when like we have somebody else helping. It's a different dynamic. You know what I mean?
Well, you seem like what you think is really obvious, right? You're like, oh yeah, do this, and then you see other people doing it,
and it's totally not the same. So it's like, that was a really amazing experience to be able to like understand my gift a little bit more. Because often I'm the type of person that thinks if he can do it, I can do it too.
Right.
But
not everybody thinks that way. Yeah, it's funny because I relate as well, because when I was younger, I thought I was going to be an architect. I went to school for architecture.
Yes.
I worked in fashion for a long time.
Wow.
And I had so much fun in fashion and getting creative. And then,
Yes.
I love architecture as well. But through the process, I always thought, everybody knows how to put a space together.
Right.
Like, of course, I'm not even going to say this because it's obvious.
Right.
And I started to realize it wasn't kind of the same situation where whenever you, start talking to that person and say, well, do it like this, their eyes are just like, oh, really? And that's when you've got something to share.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's really interesting. We're often really good at seeing other people, but it takes the longest to fully see yourself.
Yeah.
And so I feel the flowers have done that for me. They've been like my healing source of like getting to know myself better.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. It's like full circle, like from your childhood.
It's crazy. Yeah. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I do know that you have a little bit of background in fashion as well. You're talking about working at Nordstrom's. Tell me a little bit about how that came into being.
Yeah. So I moved to America from Honduras.
Okay.
And so I lived in LA, in Chino, and then I would drive to downtown LA to go to school. So I went to school in LA, and my dream was to be a fashion designer when I first moved to America.
Yes.
And so I love fashion, and I think that that's like my biggest inspiration for like everything I do. I think that just having passion for the way you look really says I respect you for other people in a different way that you don't have to say it. You know what I mean? Just looking nice always tells that to other people.
Care. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was really inspired by like making people feel good about the way that they dressed and things like that. But it got to a point where like it started to feel full of ego and stuff like that. So I had to like pull back,
Interesting.
But I'm still really passionate about fashion, but I'm passionate about making people feel good with it. You know what I mean? And uplifting people in a way that makes them go on their day and like really do amazing things. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it was such a fun experience, and I think that having the background in fashion really allowed me to work with amazing clients that do have acquired taste, because I used to work for a restaurateur that was in Food Network, and so she was catering to like all the house accounts in Highland Park and North Park and all these places, and so they all had brand standards. Each event that we had a brand standard with a color palette, and so I was able to pull all those colors into the floral aspect of things, so it really elevated the experience. And so that's I think the difference between me and other designers in town. I'm really sitting back and studying the brands and putting as much detail into what I do within that. Yes.
And I'm sure as a creative and as a designer, I can relate to that a little bit too, right? It's sometimes easy to just make something out of what's in your mind's eye, but when you have a little bit of guidance or you have like a brief that you need to follow, it pushes the boundaries of what you can do as a creative too, right? Would you agree with that? Because you were talking about doing branding and some of those, Yeah,
and I will say like I care a lot, so I work with people that also care a lot too. And so that often translates differently. So it's often a challenge to be able to walk into somebody else's shoes and do something that they would really love and maybe take it to the next level. So they love it, but they're like, it's next level.
Like they wouldn't have thought about it themselves.
Exactly.
So you're just really like elevating the whole
So
idea.
that's my goal always, you know what I mean? And so I often get to experience that, with a lot of my clients. They're like, wow, that's even better than I thought than I expected, even better than I expected, I mean, sorry.
I love that.
And so it's really great to be able to experience things like that,
Well, let's get back to this because I want to see like what's in your mind's eye and how we're going to elevate this space with your ideas. I love the concept that you shared.
Thank you.
But I want to see how we can make this happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now what we're gonna do is we're pretty much creating the frame of our work.
Okay.
So
beautiful.
we're just shaping, with greenery, I would say, to be able to create the form that we want to follow, And what I'm thinking is this is just like gonna go like a fan, this way.
Okay.
But then I always like to add my point of height, and then I always, my arrangements always have like a movement of an S. There's like the high and then the low.
Gotcha.
And you'll be able to see that as we work together.
Okay.
We'll cut that a little bit, just give it a little cut. And I think we can put that, you see how it has this little piece?
Yeah.
We can put that right here. I'll let you do it.
You want it
right here.
right here?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I can see how that is kind of opening things up.
Yes, and we can come lower a little bit more.
A little bit more.
Yeah, that's really nice, yes. And
Okay.
then we'll go ahead and, you see this one follows this way?
Yeah.
So we're really letting nature be seen the way that it's, the shaping of the product is the most important thing, I would say.
I have to say, for being such a mastermind, you're being very generous with letting me do things.
Yeah,
This is fun, yeah.
So you see, we have an open space right here. So like we kind of want to use that as an advantage, maybe go forward,
Yeah.
And then so we're shaping, I always tell people floral arrangement, doing design like this is literally like being a sculptor,
Yeah.
So this one's just like a little touch. I would say we can go right here in the front from our end. Just like a little piece right there.
Do you want it more up or sideways?
I think as long as we don't see any of the stem that we've taken from,
Okay.
that's really great.
Yeah.
And then I often trim all of my stems down because I don't want any bacteria growing there as like right away. And often when you have all these things in the water, you create more bacteria grows in the water.
I see.
So I clean my stems as much as possible.
That's a great tip.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a little bit
that's
more
such a
high.
good one.
Yeah, there's a little, So I think we can go right here.
Okay.
Too. Yeah.
Let's see. It's funny because most people think, if you're creative, you're just good at all creative things.
Yes.
And I always talk about how I stay in my lane. I can create some awesome spaces. I can specify some cool materials, but
Right.
I'm not a great photographer. When I take a picture of the work that I do, it doesn't translate well. And I'm not, an artist in floral, so it's so cool to see your magic come through.
Well, the thing is I think that it's really special to be able to see like the things that you're really, really, really good at and the things that you're sort of better at, you know what I mean? Because then you open up space for other people to have an opportunity to grow as well.
Absolutely.
And not only that, but like hiring the people that do amazing things at their job just makes your company and your concept and your team a stronger team.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I love that too.
Yeah.
And I would love to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
But I'm not an octopus.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
I'm not an octopus.
Not an octopus. Yeah. Oh my goodness, I definitely relate to that. And even in the design, in the interior design world, I had to come to terms with exactly what you said. I have my own experiences, my own perspectives. So there's only so much I can give, right?
Right.
Whenever you bring somebody else that has different perspectives, different points of view, and that's why I really believe in diversity.
Yes.
And I really believe in collaboration because together we can create something totally different,
I
right?
agree. And my main concept in regards to collaboration is I love collaborating with people that believe in excellence.
Yes, yes.
Like being able to be inspired by other people that fully want to do their best always. You know? So this is pennycrest. And so you see how the way of the product creates that flow.
Yes.
So we're gonna take advantage of that for sure. Okay. So we're gonna continue to do this fanning effect all in between and really go in between the tortilla,
So maybe in here, is that what you're thinking?
That looks amazing, yeah.
Okay, and then I remember you saying let's hide the stem.
Yeah, all the way down. So yeah, there you go. That's good. And you also want everything to have different heights. You don't want everything to feel like all one layer, you know? Like this right here already is a lot for me, you know what I mean? So we're gonna try to like maybe bring some things out a little bit more so it doesn't feel so uptight, you know?
Yeah, just like it would be nature, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me a little bit about what's your favorite project? Do you have a project that you really love doing that you think back to? Perhaps it gave you an opportunity that you don't always get or something like that.
Yeah, so we did the grand opening of Dior.
Oh,
in Dallas.
I died.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
And so it was so much work. So we did the grand opening of Dior. It was like insane.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
Yeah, we got to work with the creative team in France, and so they came in from out of town. And we did the full production of it. So it wasn't just the flowers. Right. It was the flowers, the food, the staffing, everything. And so we got to bring in their creative team, and then they also it was in Highland Park Village.
Yes.
We brought in their archive collection that travels all over the world. So we were able to create a museum experience. We took over one of the Highland Park Village spaces, and it was like a museum experience that was so beautiful.
I'm so sad I didn't get to experience that.
I wish
a dream, especially for people with fashion background.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So it was so beautiful. Like, I love fashion, right?
Yeah.
But when you see all the details that go into something, like the stitching, the mechanism of the stitching, and then the way that the run still carries the idea of the waist and the idea of the chest and the measurements and every angle, every section of the piece has a different type of stitching.
Yes.
Or if a piece has like embroidered parts that are hand beaded.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's like so many hours in time that goes into something, and when you put it on, it should fit like a glove.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's when you know it's
you should see all of those details and all of that hard work come together.
I literally, as a creative, I literally like sometimes I just need a second to like breathe.
Yeah.
I'm having like a little anxiety, happiness.
Yes.
Like
so many emotions.
It's like I want to cry, I want to scream.
We should have put this
and then
one.
I think this one right here could be really cool. And so we're just gonna put a bunch of it, like we're gonna fill with penny crust as much as possible. Okay. I like the idea of creating like a fanny effect for it, you know? Yeah, I'll keep handing you some, and then like right here.
And so feel free to tell me if I'm putting it in the wrong spot.
No.
You won't hurt my feelings.
Yeah. Let's see.
So this one kind of has a bend that comes this way. Is that a good thing?
And I think I would you see how that's really equal? Yeah. I would like try to go and
create another layer, huh?
Yeah. You don't want everything to be so even, you know? Yeah, that's the key, Yeah. And not so tight either, not so tight so it feels very like pressured into the vessel, Yeah. Vase, vessel. Everybody has a different name for them.
Yes.
I like the idea of I like calling my vases vessels because it's like it sounds like it's holding something precious instead of just like.
I love that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Vase is just like
it's a thing.
Boring.
Yeah.
Like thing that is something that just like you put under your sink.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right. A vessel is carrying something precious. Which is really what you're doing here.
Yeah, I'll keep passing you some. Sorry.
No, you're good, and feel free to keep going too. Like I know we're talking and we're doing this at the same time, but I've got so many questions for you. So what keeps you motivated? Like what keeps you going with this? What's your why behind what you do?
Oh gosh, what keeps me motivated? I often get inspired by so many things. It's really, I would say as a creative, you often, if you're like a true creative, you're hypersensitive to everything, So I often feel like I am constantly going through the process of filtering out everything that I'm feeling,
Yeah.
And so I think I love making people like stop, and appreciate something. I think that's like one of my biggest thing. Like, I love the moment when I deliver flowers and my company is growing, so I can't do all the deliveries myself anymore.
Right.
But when I first started, my favorite thing was like delivering the flowers and seeing people's reaction.
Oh, yes.
You know, like I've seen people just like bawl, you
Oh
know, like
my
in front of my
gosh,
face, you know what I mean?
yes,
So I'm
yes.
just like, oh, like,
It's going back to what you were saying, you know, you want to influence people's lives and how they feel about themselves, about their space and all of those things.
Yes.
So really, that's the pinnacle of that, right? It's seeing that reaction.
Exactly.
When
I think
they
that,
see it.
you know, or like working with brides, you know, planning their wedding for a whole year, you know, or more or longer, and then seeing them like feel so special on such a special day, you know.
Yeah.
That to me is really priceless too. So I'm often inspired by a lot of things, you know.
Yeah.
I will say, you know, this year, in regards to fashion, I feel like fashion is having a little bit of a shift. You know what I mean? So often I get inspired by fashion. I feel like fashion is changing.
Yeah.
So at this point in my career, I feel like I'm going through an evolution of that as well.
Beautiful.
In regards to how I connect with fashion.
Yes. Yes.
Because I truly feel that we're moving towards a seasonless.
Yeah, timeless kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. See, it not like so like. Only summer, only wear on summer, only wear on winter. You know what I mean?
What is your take on why that's happening?
I feel like we were mass producing we were producing too much.
Yeah.
And then when the world closed, everybody had like a shocking alert. They're like, what are we gonna do with this? Nobody's buying product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like people are changing the way that they design and the way that they. I feel like people care a little bit more right now.
Yeah. It's almost about having more special things than having a lot of things.
Exactly.
Don't you agree with that?
Yes, I agree, yeah.
I see that happening in the design world too. It's like we're holding
tired of
we're
having
holding things dear that matters, right? And then,
we have our sense of meaning is in the front of our mind,
right,
instead of the back of our mind. After stopping for so long, you know, I feel like so many things change. You know, because people had to deal with their skeletons in the closet because they were locked in.
You were faced to do it. Yeah.
So I feel like that's what we're seeing in fashion as well. You know, I feel like that's truly how we feel about that one. Can go over here.
I was gonna say this one's got some good height.
Yes.
It's got a couple of different stems. So we think here.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Stunning.
Loving how this is coming together.
Thank you.
Okay.
Teamwork.
But really, you doing your magic. I'm just following directions.
You'll be surprised. After this, you're gonna be like doing a bunch of arrangements at home and be like, oh, I learned this, I learned that. I think that the most important thing is like cleaning your stems, like doing an angle cut for the stems to be able to drink water easily.
Yeah.
So you know, like when you do this type of cut, often
like
the stem sits on the lowest point.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a gap between the bottom of the vessel.
Makes so much sense.
Instead of like if you were to do an even cut and it sits on, she can't drink water.
Yes.
So there's a reason behind it for sure.
Absolutely. It's funny because I always knew cut the stem at an angle, but I didn't know the why.
Yes. Yeah.
That makes so much sense. You know, she needs to drink water. She needs more surface area for that.
That's right.
Is this one back here?
That's
good?
perfect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that we're doing all of our high pieces up there.
It's kind of falling this way. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. You want it to have free movement. You don't want it to be forceful. Right. And then also, like, we're just putting things in right now. We're gonna like reshape as we go.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So these ones are ready to go.
Okay. Should I do on the front or should I do back here?
Yeah, we can definitely do one in the front as well. Let me turn it over.
Oh, there you go.
Just so we can
might be a little.
Yes.
Yes. So talking about how
we have some.
Yeah, how things kind of have evolved post-pandemic, right? And how we see things in fashion, in floral and design. What do you think what is your foresight into 2022? What do you think is coming around the corner?
I think that, I'm definitely seeing people care more, right?
Yeah.
About a lot of things. I think that people are gonna just, like lately what I've been doing a lot is I've been working with a lot of ceramicists
Ooh,
all
yeah.
over town. So
Speaking of vessels,
yes,
right?
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, so I am getting to custom made a lot of vessels for people's homes.
Yeah.
Things that become art pieces without flowers and with flowers.
Yes.
So I feel like I see a lot of that happening.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that just because it feels like there's a huge future for my kind of skill, you know?
Yeah.
Because I always felt like in the past I always felt like people didn't care about the art of creating with flowers
Yes.
as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I do feel like there's something really special about that. You know what I mean? It's like each human has a unique essence, you know what I mean? I think that to be good at doing arrangements, you have to put in your time and your hours. I was doing the math of how many arrangements I think I've done in my life, and I think I've done, literally, I think I'm close to 100,000 arrangements.
Oh my God.
In my career.
That's incredible.
And
That's
each arrangement has about 300 stems, you know? So it's like a lot of different, I've learned so much. And every time I do something, I'm correcting myself to learn something different, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing that you think of it that way too. It's, like you said, always evolving, right?
It's a skill, you know? It's like a muscle.
Yeah.
So we have some room right here as well. I'll give you this one for that.
Okay.
Like right there, I think, somewhere in there.
Okay. Well, that's got beautiful height right there.
Yes.
I feel like I'm actually doing this.
You are. You're gonna see it at the end, and you're gonna be like,
it's very therapeutic, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I had a friend that suffered from depression.
Yeah.
You know, and she would just tell me, hey, can I just come to your studio and just see you work?
Yes.
And it would really help her.
Yeah.
You know, like just become present.
Yes.
You know?
I can totally see that. And you know, a lot of us, you know, go through moments like that in our lives. And you know, one thing you were talking about, the vessels, and having that be present, like not just be a thing that you put under your sink, but like be part of your space.
Right.
That's going to be a good incentive for people to take the time. And you know, they have the vessel there. It's an incentive for them to go in and play with the plants and do something different and really work on their well-being, right? Like their mindfulness.
It's like, you know, people believe in meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I think as people believe in meditation, they should believe in sitting down sometimes and arranging flowers.
Yes.
It's really an amazing thing. And I think that, you know, I'm such a hyperactive like person. You know, I love like just going through things and stuff like that. So this is one of the reasons why I think the flowers have done so much good for myself, you know?
Yes.
Because there's no way for me to be in somewhere else and put the right amount of energy into the work.
Yeah.
You can see it on the work, and the work doesn't speak what it needs to say.
Yeah.
So you see this one is kind of like fighting with this one right here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna move this one right here, just so.
Yeah.
To make sure.
Let the flower shine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially proteas, you know?
Yeah, they're so sculptural.
They're
strong.
such I also like, they're one of my favorite flowers to work with, but I picked them because they remind me of you in some way.
Oh, I love it. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Well, they're just very like, they're very resilient.
Yeah.
Like I see that in your personality.
Well, I love that you're so observant.
Yeah.
I love that. So this is gonna have to be my signature flower now.
I think so. And they also like, they dry, and they dry so beautifully.
Really?
They become like an art piece dry.
Yeah.
You should let them, once you know, you enjoy the arrangement, you should let them dry and just like, explore that so you can see what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It becomes beautiful dry or fresh, you know?
This is definitely gonna be mine.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, this has been so much fun, Patricio. It's been really eye-opening. You know, I knew we were gonna be making an arrangement and playing with flowers and all of that good stuff. I was looking forward to seeing, you know, a little piece of you, you know, your creation. But I feel like we've connected so much more than that. And I've learned so much more than I expected too. So
Yay.
I have a new signature flower. I'm so happy. But I'll let you kind of get in there and make that magic happen without me getting in the way, because I really want this to be about your perspective. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this come together.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Of course.